So good evening. Once again, my name is Joseline Nicholas. I am a real estate agent and a real estate investor as well. I came to Canada in 2011. I came to study at McMaster University, where I did economics. I graduated in 2015, did a master's in economics at the University of Laurier. While I was in school at McMaster, my husband and I decided that we'll buy an investment property. So we bought our first property, which we never lived in. We rented it out. It was in Toronto. And I graduated in 2015. I started my career as an economist. So I worked in the government of Ontario for a few years. And while I was there, my husband and I were buying properties. So we bought a second property, I think about 2016. And thereafter, we saw what our properties were doing. And since then, we've been buying properties almost on a regular basis. We currently have properties in Kitchener-Waterloo. We have properties in Guelph. We have properties in Niagara as well. We're always open to buying in other markets as well, but so far, these markets being about 1 hour radius to where we live, it's just been so easy to have properties in those areas. I'm always happy to have these webinars because then I can highlight my story. And I think what's unique tonight is that we have other investors who've done what I and many other people are doing, investing in real estate. We've had a lot of webinars in the past, and I've brought in a lot of people to speak, some of them more experienced with maybe 10 years, 20 years of real estate investing. But what's unique tonight is that I've listened to a lot of previous attendees who say, please bring in somebody who has 0 to 2 years of experience so I can see what I can do in 2 years. Because when we talk about 10 years, it sounds as though it's almost not attainable. So I'm very happy tonight that we can talk about what the journey from 0 to 2 years would look like in real estate investing. So with that being said, I'm really excited to present our first investor here. Her name is Emily Jen Jose. She came to Canada in 2013 and was a nurse by profession back in her home country. When she came to Canada, her first job was as a financial broker, and she's been in this industry for a few years now, 7 years to be specific. So she saw an opportunity in real estate investing, and she started multiplying her money by investing in real estate. I really love that. She's had some experiences with pre-construction deals as well as doing bars. So she will be talking about real estate investing using those two strategies tonight. So right now she has 2 properties and she will be closing on a third one in March 2022. And my understanding is that she's done all this in the last 2 years. Next is Thia. Thia, she's a real estate investor as well. She will be talking to us more about her strategy, but she is a single mom. And during those times as a single mom, she used real estate investing as a means to come out of a dark place. So she has built a 6-figure business in 8 months. She has completed 18 wholesale deals in the last 8 months. That is really, really impressive. And that is why I wanted her to come out. For those who don't know what wholesaling is, we can address that. And if there's any questions, do post them in the chat box and we can talk about what wholesaling looks like. But she's been doing these wholesale deals, and in the last 8 months, she's done 18 of them. That is really impressive. And she has made a cash flow tribe success story. So she will tell us more about that in the coming minutes. Next is Nemo. Nemo believes that it takes one person, one opportunity, and one deal to change the course of their life. So 80% of he believes that 80% of the work is showing up. So he kept showing up, and he kept showing up to what he was drawn to, which was business entrepreneur seminars, and he knew he wanted more. So he met his first coach who offered him a free 2-day workshop in exchange for help with science and video work. He soaked in the information and jumped into real estate and never looked back. So I'm very, very excited tonight that we can learn from Nemo as well to see what he's doing and what strategy he's doing and the kind of deals he's working on. Our fourth investor tonight is Chris Rogers. He started his real estate investing journey a year and a half ago. He purchased his first purpose-built duplex in Barrie, where he resides. So he then focused on educating himself to gain the knowledge to take it to the next level. Currently, he is primarily focused on wholesaling of multifamily properties and was successful in closing on a sixplex in Barrie last summer. So with all due respect, please welcome our panelists tonight. I'm very, very excited to be hosting this panel discussion with you guys, and I'm super, super happy. I know I've spoken to you guys, each one individually, and I'm very happy that you can be here tonight. So my first question to each one of you, I will start with you, Nemo. Could you please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your investment journey and how you got started? We can't hear you. Nemo, I think you might be having a technical difficulty.
I think
okay, we can,
now maybe he can try.
We can go to Thia and we'll come back to Nemo in a moment.
Perfect. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, we can hear you.
Awesome. So my real estate journey actually started about a year ago, last May 2020. I was already kind of thinking that I wanted to be involved in real estate, just wasn't sure in what aspect. I thought I wanted to be an agent. I tried to take the test a few times, failed. I was like, okay, no, there has to be another way that I can be involved without having to take this test. So then I stumbled upon Cashflow Tribe Canada, and they were hosting a webinar basically breaking down what wholesaling is. I'd never heard of wholesaling before. After that, I was just like, this is perfect. This is totally something I can do. You don't need much capital up front. So from, I would say about June, I then registered my business, Velinor Properties. And from there until December, I was kind of just, trial and error, trying to figure out how to really make this thing my own. Finally, in December, I was able to wholesale my first triplex in Sudbury. And then it was literally a snowball effect after that. 17 more deals followed this year. I was able to, make some really good connections with some people who, are just doing amazing things within real estate. One of those people being Danielle Chason. Kind of really, took me under her wing as like a mentor. And it's just someone that I really look up to. So at this point now, I have 18 doors in this short time. So I have got a 8 units building in Cornwall. Yesterday, we kind of finalized that, and a 4-plex in Timmins and a 5-plex in Sudbury. Wow. And so here I am. In 1 year, I've done all of this, as you said, created a 6-figure business and was able to also accumulate some doors along the way as well. So it's been an amazing ride.
That is really impressive. And that's what I was saying, like 2 years seems like a short time, but when it comes to real estate investing, you can do so much. Now, Thia, for those who don't know what wholesaling is, could you please explain what that is?
Yeah, so wholesaling is essentially you playing the middle person in the deal. So you'll go out, you'll find a deal, and if it cash flows and it's amazing, you'll get it under contract with the seller. You'll then create a marketing package, and essentially you're then going to sell that paper, is basically what it is, that contract, to another investor who wants to close on it. So If you got the property for $100,000 under contract, you can then add a $20,000 wholesale fee, and now you're going to market that deal at $120,000, and you'll make your money in the spread in that $20K. And that is what wholesaling is.
Yeah, no, I love that myself. I've used that strategy a few times, and it works like magic. So for those who have questions on like how they can use this strategy to benefit their real estate investing career, we're gonna put a link in the comments below where you can book a one-on-one consultation, and we can talk about your real estate investing goals and how you can learn something from what we're talking about, and you can ask any questions you may have about that. My next question, same question to you, Jen. Could you tell us a little bit about how you got started, and how you got started in real estate, and a little bit about so far what you've achieved in real estate?
All right. So, hi everyone. Yeah, I think it's like 2 years ago when I started in real estate investing, and I had invested in a pre-construction deal. So from that one property, after a year, since you know real estate is about location, right? So after a year, I was surprised of how much the equity of that property. So I was able to take out at least 150K from the property, and again reinvested to another pre-construction deal that will be closing next year, March of 2022 in Brantford. And last year, so I was able to purchase again another property here in Niagara, so in Niagara area. Now it's a resale house, but yeah, and now I'm renting this the property and looking to buy another one here in maybe in Welland area. So it's really good. Like when you find like how the properties build equity, and you can multiply the cash flow in those properties. So that's how I started. Yeah.
Wow, no, that is really impressive. I was just saying earlier that you're almost buying a property every 6 months. And what's impressive is that you're using the equity from your other properties to do this. That is really, really impressive.
Mm-hmm. Thanks.
My next same question will be going to you, Chris. Tell us a little bit about your real estate investment journey and how you got started. Chris, I think we're having a little bit of a problem with the volume. We can't hear you, but I can see that you're not muted, so. Nemo, is your system working now?
Can you hear me?
Yes, absolutely. That is
Okay. I think he has the same problem I had. We were muted by organizer.
okay.
Oh, is that, there we go.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
go.
Sorry about that. Yeah.
All right, Chris, take it away.
Okay, no worries. Yeah, like I was saying there while I was muted, I started out kind of like what Thia was saying about a year and a half ago. I did a bunch of research on real estate, and I was trying to figure out what avenue to go down, whether it be a realtor, or I was even looking into getting in the trades and getting into doing the construction, doing renovations on my own, or even home inspection, or I was even looking at getting into the mortgage side of it. So I looked into all these different areas. So I was doing a lot of information gathering, and then just everything I was looking at just pointed me in the direction of just getting my own properties and investing my money in my own properties. And so at that point in time, I realized that I needed to get to a higher level and to take the guesswork out of it. I needed someone to help me with that strategy and figure out all my questions so that I could, buy the right properties. But before that, I did buy a legal duplex in Barrie, which was a really good acquisition. It's doing really well for us here now. Yeah, so that's kind of how I got into it from that point.
Nice. And you did mention that you've been doing some wholesaling as well. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so right now, like I want to buy my own, maybe down the road, I want to buy quite like a few or several multifamily properties, like some apartment buildings. So I'm focused on building capital right now through wholesaling, and I was successfully able to close on one last summer. And since then, I've been just making connections with people, and I'm phoning all the time, making contacts and phone numbers and all that stuff. And I'm getting buyers and sellers and lining things up. And then, but it's been challenging in the last year with the whole COVID situation. There's a lot of hesitation whether or not people want to sell and buy, and the financing. Like it's been a little bit of a challenge getting financing on some of these properties. So I've just been focusing on networking with people in the last little while, and then I'm going to go from there. But yeah, definitely that's what I'm focused on right now is the wholesaling.
Yeah. No, I love that. I think one thing I also loved is that, you know, you're connecting with people. I find that real estate is a people business. The more people you know and the more people like you, the more or the better you're likely to do.
Yeah,
Now,
exactly. Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Sorry.
Nemo, same question to you. Can you tell us a little bit about how you got started and a little bit about where you are right now in your real estate investing journey?
Is it my turn?
Yes.
Okay. These settings are very weird, just getting used to it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Difference for you.
Okay, so I got started actually same way Thia did, Danielle Chason. So that's pretty funny actually. I didn't know that. I just kept going to seminars and seminars, and I knew, like, you know, if you want to go somewhere, find someone that's been there. And you know, if I kept hanging around doing the same thing everybody else around me was doing, I was gonna end up in the same place. So I just kept going, and you know, everybody started trying to sell me all these programs and this and that. And you know, some things I bought, some things I didn't, some things I finished, some things I just threw under the mattress and forgot about it. And one day I just, you know, I was like really at the you know, end of it all. And it's so funny, you know, when they say, like, you know, when the student is ready, the master shall appear. And like, I think that was like one of those moments I was like, okay, honestly, like, I'm still gonna go, but I really don't want to keep going to this stuff anymore. I'm not getting anything out of it. And Danielle was there, and we just got into like a 3 hour long conversation even after the seminar. And there was a bunch of people always trying to crowd her and talk to her, and we were just like in this like bubble. And we just kept talking. I've never listened more in my life. Like, my eyes were like wide and just taking it all in. And she's like, why don't you come to my 2-day workshop? I'm like, what's that? And she's like, well, come and find out. You just got to do some free work. I'm like, what do you want me to do? And she's like, just some camera work and sign people in. I'm like, sure, why not? And I went there, and I think my brain almost exploded on the first day. And then on the second day, I think I was so full that I slept for like a day after that. I was just, there's all the strategies and all this information, and just like the way she delivered it all, it was all like possible, and you could really grasp the knowledge and just kind of get started right away. And the first strategy that really caught my attention was Airbnb, short-term rentals. So me and a partner actually at the time went and did so many strategies on this one poor little house. It was hilarious. We started our own meetup group at 5 a.m. Called Breakfast of Champions, and we just went around and called every single wholesaler that we could find a sign from, and brought all of them there. And one of them ended up selling us a deal, and that's how I got started. So I did a flip there, and then did some flips after, did some wholesales. That's actually how I met Joseline. I sold wholesale to somebody she was working with at the time, and that was hilarious. And that deal took me, I think, like 18 months to close. So that one came in really early into my career, and it closed very late. And everything else happened in between, but who knows? Maybe it was meant to be, and that's why me and Joseline met. So it worked out.
Absolutely. And I think what's interesting in like looking at how We all started in real estate. Even my story is just like, what I can hear is that you saw an opportunity and you seized it. You basically saw a chance to get started and you bought your first property. One of the reasons why I organized this webinar is that I wanted to highlight the stories that it doesn't have to be perfect to start. There's a little bit of learning, but there's also a lot of execution. And it sounds like that's what you guys have done. My next question, we'll start with Chris here. How did you raise the capital to start? Because I know that, you know, with wholesaling, sometimes you don't really need capital. You can build your capital as you go. But with Chris and Emily, I know that you guys bought your first property and then started doing other strategies on the way. But how did you get the capital to start?
For me, I'm pretty fortunate. Me and my wife, we have some pretty good financing ability. So I had enough money for deposit and down payment for my duplex. So I was able to qualify for the mortgage, like thankfully pretty easily to purchase that one in Barrie. So then I was able to go from there. And then I actually refinanced my primary residence to a Scotia step mortgage. So it's an advanceable HELOC product, which is right on the mortgage. So as my principal gets paid down, it puts available equity in my HELOC. So I'm using that for deposit money on my next acquisitions. So that's
absolutely
yeah.
And I love that, because sometimes a lot of the times we don't even know the resources that we have available to us. And I find that a lot of my clients would definitely do what you're saying, which is like refinancing a property that they have more equity in, or in this case, taking a HELOC, which is a homeowner line of credit, and using that as deposit or down payment money. Emily, how did you get the capital to start real estate investing?
To start in raising the capital, I have some few savings before, you know, going here to Canada, and then I also tried to borrow from my parents, and then So, and also since I work in a, you know, commission-based business, I'm a financial broker. So, I mean, you have the capacity to increase your income. It's really like up to you every month, how much money you want to earn. So I will always break down how many clients do I need every month to come up with this amount of money. Because remember, it's a pre-construction deal, right? So it's like after 30 days, after 60 days, I already have in mind how much money do I need. So, and after that, doing the first deal and taking out that equity and then just reinvesting it again. So that's how I was able to raise the capital. Yeah.
Wow, that is really impressive. Sounds really, really focused, that you knew what you wanted and you just focused on the plan you had to get it. My next question is, Thia and Nemo, do you guys have something to add to it before I proceed to my next question?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think something really important to realize is it's so hard to understand when you start, but the money doesn't really matter. And when you start getting more deals and you're gonna see the deals are just kind of gonna start coming at you. And once you start partnering with people and kind of being in this world, you're gonna have people that are gonna be hounding you to get more deals rather than actually having to look for money. They're gonna say, hey, you know, we did one, how about the next 4? I heard that guy did like 5 last month. And you're gonna be like, well, I gotta go find more deals. And that's gonna become the next challenge, not so much the actual money. And as far as getting started, I think the number one thing is when I jumped in with a partner, but when I jumped into it, I just threw whatever I had. So it's not that every partner that you might find is going to want you to put equal. Like, we all have different net worths. Somebody's worth $10 million. He's not going to expect you to drop the same amount of money that he is. But if you look at it as a percentage point, if he knows that, you know, you're all in and you're hurting a little bit too, even if it's just $5,000 you put just to tie the deal up so you can be out there looking for financing, he's going to also feel it's going to be much easier. And they're going to also feel that you have some skin in the game and you're willing to risk it. And that's what's going to make it a lot easier to get financed because they know you have something to lose and you're willing to make it work.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I really love what you're saying. And I think that at one point when I got started, I didn't understand when people say that it doesn't take money to make money, you know? And I think now I understand that. And what you're saying is that when you have the deal, the money will show up. I really didn't understand that. And I think that for the average investor, that is kind of something, a little bit of like an advanced concept to understand, but I really like that you brought it up. Thea, would you like to add something to the discussion?
No, I think Nemo really hit the nail, on the head, and it's exactly that. I think we kind of build up more, like give ourselves more pressure than really what's necessary. Once you go out and you find the deal, all the other pieces end up aligning. It's really that money, people, deal scenario, right? So you just find the deal, you find the money, and you just kind of put it together. So that kind of happened to me with a flip deal that I was looking for. I wanted to do a flip. A mentor of mine had told me that someone, was looking for a money partner in the deal. And I could have just used my own money, but I wanted to really exercise the raising, OPM strategy. So I just, had a few conversations with some people, and then there was someone willing to lend me $87K, and then we would just split on the flip. So I would have had no money in on the deal, but still being able to, receive 20% of whatever was closed. So again, like Nemo said, just, really get out there, and I think just put action. Action is
the magic execution. Absolutely. So my next question goes to you, Emily. What do you think are the top 3 consistent behaviors that have produced results for you?
For me, I think first thing is you need to have the passion on what you do, right? It's so hard to do something that you don't love. So have that passion. And second, never stop learning. As Albert Einstein said, the moment you stop learning is the moment you start dying. So in this industry, in the real estate, you really need to, learn the market, analyze deals, and you have to know the risk as well, of course, right? But and then lastly, you need to take action, because it's so hard to be in the shoes of, you're doing the analysis paralysis. Nothing happens really if you don't take action. So activity always produce results.
Absolutely. Yeah. I love that. Chris, what do you think are the top 3 behaviors that have helped you produce results?
Well, I think Emily hit the nail on the head. That was really well said. Just the ability to take action. And for me also, as well, is to put yourself out there with people. And it doesn't all, like when you're talking to people, what I mean by that, it doesn't always have to be about real estate. What I like to do is find out, ask them about themselves and try to get to know them a little bit and ask them their story. And then you build a rapport with people, and people open up to you that way. So for me, that's what I kind of really focus on when I'm trying to build connections with people. And like I said as well, take action and putting yourself out there. That's, produces consistent results, I think. So yeah.
And I agree with that 100%. Some of the best deals that I've done as investments or even as purchases for my clients, it's been with relationship building. I think maybe I can just take 1 minute to tell a story about like the best deal I've ever done in my entire career. It was just with somebody I met because they were looking to lease their property. And I called them about the leasing because one of my clients was looking for a rental property after selling their own. And we were just chatting on the phone, being human. And she said, you know what, I have this property I've been looking to sell, but it's not your ideal property. It's very unique. And I said, can I see it? And I went to see it, and it was just so perfect for a developer who was looking to do a townhouse development. Like it's small things like where you're building relationships, you're getting to know people, you're being human. And if you do that consistently, you build a network and people trust you and they want to do business with you. So I really like that. Nemo, same question for you. What are the top 3 consistent behaviors that have helped you produce results?
I think number 1, know yourself, self-reflection. Number 2, prioritizing. And I think number 3, momentum. And if you keep those 3 going, whenever you mess up, just restart and start back. Because I know when I looked into all the different strategies, I wanted to do them all. And then you start doing them and you realize, you know, I heard a great analogy. It was like, real estate is like 4 inches deep and 10 miles wide. And that really made me kind of realize it, because you can get into every single strategy, but there's so many out there. You have to know who you are, what you want to do, and then prioritize to keep taking actions like everyone else is saying, and then get that momentum. And then if you drop it, just realize that maybe it's not what you want to do, and keep that power, you know, to yourself. Don't give it away. You know, it's always your fault. Take the responsibility and do it in a positive way. Maybe it's just something that's not for me. I tried the Airbnbs, and luckily it didn't really work out that well, because when COVID hit, and if you had like 20 leases that you're paying for and all your Airbnbs stopped, you know, there's always something looking out for you. So keep that in mind too. It's not that things don't work. It's that maybe you're trying to push things that you don't really want to do.
Yeah, I agree, 100%. 100%. Thia, the same question for you. What are the top 3 consistent behaviors that have produced results in your career?
I'll definitely say for sure networking and talking to people. Like after I did my first deal, someone who actually reached out to inquire about that deal then locked up a deal in the new year and was like, hey, you just did one. Want to partner on this? And I was like, okay,
Yeah.
like let's do it. And I had a cash buyer for the area. So it worked out, and we did 2 deals. So combined, we made like 40K together, never met each other in person. So it's the power of networking, right? And I continue to go on to do that. People reach out all the time and want to partner on deals. So it's really, again, like they said, or Chris said, you know, putting yourself out there and wanting to create value to people. Like when he reached out, he had never wholesaled before. So I was sending him like the contracts and really just coaching him through it and how to fill them out and that kind of thing. And now he has his own like wholesaling business. He's doing well. And, you know, that makes me feel good because I know, you know, I had a small hand in kind of guiding him in doing that. I would say being intentional. You know, you have to be intentional in what you're doing every day, like in the conversations that you're having. When you wake up and you go, if you're scraping Kijiji, whereas I found most of my deals, you know, you just have to have a purpose when you're getting up and you're going throughout your day. You can't just kind of like la-di-da through it. Have a plan, be intentional, and I find that that's how you really get the most results. And lastly, I would say determination. You have to be determined, and maybe even passion, you know, because like I said, I started in May or June, and I didn't do my first deal until December.
Yeah.
So, you know, if I didn't enjoy the process, then I probably would have quit right at that, maybe the 5-month mark, right? Or something. But because I truly enjoyed and felt like I finally found my thing, and I was just determined to leave the 9-to-5 because I already knew it wasn't for me like 10 years ago. So yeah, I was excited to, you know, finally be able to quit my job in January and just do this full time. So definitely determination, being intentional, and networking are key.
I love that. I totally love that. Now, would you say that that is exactly what it takes to make a successful real estate investor? Thia?
Yeah, I would. I think whenever you're willing to really create value or put more out than you're taking, you're always going to win in the end. And for me, that's something that I really try to focus on for all the like up and coming wholesalers who want to like connect, and me just really, you know, giving them that boost of confidence that it's possible and it's not an overnight success like it might be for some people. Like it took me 6 months and I didn't get paid until the 8th month. So it's just, you need to decide whether or not this is something that's really for you. And if you're passionate about it, just stick with it. You know, stick with it, and eventually you're going to get a deal assigned. And once that happens, you get this like boost of confidence that you didn't even know you were lacking. And you're like, I got this, I'm doing this. And then it's just, you know, a repetitive kind of thing.
I love that. Love that. Emily, what would you say makes a successful real estate investor?
For me, it's so important that you have the vision. Like vision is, you see the future. You have the end in mind all the time. Whatever you're doing, like 5 years from now, what's your game plan, right? In the real estate industry. So having a vision for me will always provide you the GPS where you want to go, or the address in the future, so you have that the right destination. Yeah, that's the thing for me.
I agree. I think when I got started, one of the things that I heard a lot, even when you train or you listen to real estate podcasts, is you have to know your why, right? You have to know why you're doing this. And that's kind of something that I can hear from, Thea, from you, Emily, where it's just like you really need to know why you're doing what you're doing, because days will come where you don't want to do it anymore, right? We've had times where I'm just like, oh my goodness, between the lenders, the contractors, everything is just looking like it's not working out, and then remembering why you're doing what you're doing and just staying focused, as Thea said. Nemo, same question to you. What do you think makes a successful real estate investor, in your opinion?
Yeah, the why. I love that you said that. Honestly, when I started, I could not understand, and I used to go to like meetups and like talk to people, and everyone mentions that. I'm like, I used to hate hearing it. I was like, oh, here come these like foo-foo guys with this why. Like, what do we hear? Like song and dance, like some Tony Robbins stuff, And then I was kind of like talking to a deal, a guy that I was trying to close a deal with, and something just hit me. Like I was going through all these like ups and downs, and just jumping over these massive hurdles and just swallowing these massive problems where I was just like, ew, why is this happening? And out of nowhere, it just like kind of hit me. I was like, well, there's nothing I would rather really be doing, and I can take all my skills and put them into this. And I'm like, oh, is this the why everybody's talking about?
That is funny. And that is actually funny, because at one point I felt like that too, like where like you don't really connect the two dots until you actually until you see it, right? And I can relate to that. Thea, oh, well, you've already answered this question. So my next question will be, I believe in real estate that learning and growing is necessary. And I think that we've talked about this as we were having our conversation, that learning, growing is a big part of this. Part of my learning and growing is reading. What book have you read that you would recommend to people who are starting to learn more about real estate investing?
Definitely a book called Mindset by, what is her name? Carol Dweck. That I love that book, because as you're reading it, you're just like, oh, you didn't even realize that you were on the other end, the other spectrum of, the mindset. So I think that book really hit home for me, and I highly recommend. Totally a good read. Also, The 4-Hour Workweek by, is it Tim Ferriss? That was really good as well. Just really, reiterating the fact that you can't do everything. We think we can, but you're just going to burn yourself out. If it's like a $20 an hour kind of a thing, you're better to just kind of like outsource it and, focus your time and energy on the big ticket items or the more important things. So definitely those two books for me.
Perfect. Yeah, I really love the 4-Hour Workweek. I don't really follow what it says, but I admire what it could do. The reason I don't follow what it says, because right now my life, the way it is, I have to work full time. And I'm in that phase where I really have to be here, work full time. But I think that I admire what it could do for someone who's looking to follow what it does. Chris, what are some of the books, or at least one book that you've read that you feel I would recommend to somebody who's learning more about real estate investing?
I'm not a huge book reader, but I was reading a book when I was starting out. It was called Real Estate Investing in Canada by Don Campbell. I read about half of that book, honestly. I don't have a lot of spare time. And so at that point, I started just reading a lot of articles. I'm more of an article type of guy, reading modules and stuff like that. And I was actually able to thankfully get a coach at that point, and I was able to read all his great learning material. And I just really focused on immersing myself with all that knowledge that was at hand for me. So yeah, that's kind of my story there.
Yeah. And you know what? There's different ways of learning. It just happens that my way, the easiest way I find is, personally for me, is reading. So there's different ways of learning and growing. Nemo, what book have you read that you'd recommend to people who are learning more about real estate investing?
Oh, I'm glad Chris paved the way with a different kind of answer, because I kind of have one too. I think my biggest advice to anyone, go on Spotify, search up Your Wish is Your Command by Kevin Trudeau, and just listen through that. All the books you ever need are going to be at the end of that. And the entire podcast, I think it's maybe like a couple hours or something, but it's in 40-minute segments, and it will prepare you for the actual books. It will give you the books in order. It covers so many other areas. It doesn't have to be just about real estate. It can be about your other passions or whatever else you want to do. But it's primarily about mastering the basics and just falling in love with mastering the basics. It's kind of like I'm not afraid of the guy that knows 10,000 kicks that he practiced only once. I'm afraid of the guy that practiced one kick 10,000 times. And it really kind of makes you fall in love with that. And I guess everybody gets the kind of knowledge that they're missing. And for me, I always want to jump to the next level or do some next advanced thing or something super complicated. And that's what I did with my first flip. And going through all those loops, I was like, man, I could have done like 3 by now and had way more money and done way more things. I went back to that and I'm like, of course, this is why this came to me, master the basics. So that's definitely Your Wish is Your Command by Kevin Trudeau. It's on Spotify. It's free. Listen to that, follow it in order, and you'll get so much more out of that than any book I've ever read.
I will check. We're getting some feedback in the back. We ask that you. We're getting some feedback. We ask that you mute yourselves so that we can continue the discussion. Nemo, I was just, I think I was muted here. I was just saying that I will check out that tool as well, the podcast, because as I said, I love learning and growing, and it sounds like that is a tool that for sure would enhance my learning and my growing. Emily, what book or podcast in this case have you read or have you listened to that you'd recommend to somebody who's learning more about real estate investing?
You know what? As I'm saying, I'm a nurse back home, right? So the first book that I have really read about real estate is Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. So that really opened up my mind about real estate investing, how to have this cash flow, how to add more assets, so more money asset that puts money in your pocket, right? So
yeah,
that's the thing that really helped me through my real estate investing. And then, of course, don't forget to try to read books in a lot of personal development. As what Thia is saying, those mindset, you need to have the right mindset in doing this business, because not all the time you will feel doing it, right? So have that correct mindset, because everything start with right thoughts, then you have right actions, and then you have right results. And also, don't forget that you are your biggest asset. So if you invest in yourself, if you add value to yourself, then later on, you'll see that that wealth will multiply in your life. So yeah, that's my recommendation.
I love that. You are your biggest investment. I really love that. I really love that. I've read Rich Dad Poor Dad as well. It was probably like one of the first few books I read, and it just captivated the way I thought. You know, even the idea of like working in your business, or like minding your business or minding other people's business, something like that, where it's just like while you're working, in that case, my profession was an economist. While I'm working as an economist, I need to be building my business on the side. So I don't have to work as an economist forever. In this case, for me, I really loved what I was doing, but I knew that I didn't want to do it forever. So I think one of those books, Rich Dad Poor Dad, I think he has another one called Cash Flow Quadrant. Those two books I read a few times because they just challenged the way I think. Even the issue of like why the rich get richer and why the poor get poorer, things like that. It was just like an eye opener on just the tools that other investors, or in this case, the rich, use to build their net worth. So thank you for bringing that up, because it just brings a lot of memories. My last question here for you, and while I ask the last question, I'm just going to ask that if there's any questions, put them in the chat box, and we'll get to them right after this. My last question is, do you think it makes a difference to have a mentor in your career or in other areas of your life? Does it make a difference to have a mentor? And we'll start with you, Nemo.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think you got to find the right mentor, and it's one of the most life-changing things that you can do for yourself. Not to preach, but in the Your Wish is Your Command, that's one of the first things he talks about. It's like, who do you listen to? And the number one thing is listen to people that have what you want. I'm sure Thia can, attest to this, but when I met Danielle, she had everything that I wanted. She had a successful business. She had a personal assistant. She knew the strategies. She knew the people. She was well known in the industry. She had a lot of connections. She was networking, and she was kind of going through her life every day, still dealing with all of the problems and personal issues that life brings. But in that professional realm, it was like, it just seemed like just floating through. And it just seemed so natural. And I was like, oh, that's so good. Like, so anything that person tells you, you're going to immediately absorb. I've had people that have said certain things and it sounds great, but then I look at their life and they don't really add up. So for coaching, 100%.
Yeah. And you know what? I think that was one of my eye openers early on, with like, who are you listening to? And I think that the way the author of the book I was reading said is, if you wouldn't exchange your position with that person, don't take advice from them. In other ways, if you don't want to be where they are, don't take advice from them. I still listen, but I may have to reconsider before I follow that piece of advice. So I really like that. And that applies to people who are like, even family and friends who really love you, they're caring for you, they're giving you the best they know, and they're saying, don't invest in real estate, right? But what do they know, right? Like, they don't have any investment properties, so why would you listen to them? So I really like that. Thia, some question for you.
Yeah, definitely to piggyback on what Nemo just said. Absolutely. When I met Danielle, I was kind of already still like, on my way doing well. But, when I met her and connected, we just kind of, really clicked. And she was just, doing so well and just being open and willing to help. You don't really find too many people. Like, people will talk to you, but not everyone will really go above and beyond to make sure that you understand certain things and how to do it correctly. So, I mean, for that, she definitely has, you know, really changed my life in terms of how I think about things, and being able to acquire the doors that I have. All of those doors that I have are with Danielle Chason. So for me, I just really think so highly of her. And I know that having a mentor and someone like her in your corner, I mean, it's really hard to fail when you do. And I have another mentor, his name is Irfan. And again, very respected in the business, very knowledgeable, will drop whatever he's doing to help and assist. So if someone has, you know, an opportunity to get a mentor and a coach, I would definitely recommend doing that, but just make sure they are, you know, the right fit. Like me.
Good. And I think that I know Danielle, she's amazing. She's amazing. Like everything you're saying is so true. And I was just gonna say that if somebody's gonna get a coach, make sure it's somebody who's in this market, right? Don't get somebody who's sitting somewhere in California telling you how to invest in Ontario, because the markets are so different. So finding somebody who is in this market is certainly something of value. And if you'd like to connect with a coach, reach out to me, because I know most of the coaches in this area, and I'll be happy to recommend that I think fits the criteria of the strategy you would like to pursue. Jen, Emily, the same question for you. Do you think it makes a difference?
Yes, absolutely. It makes a big difference. And I think for most successful people, the commonality really is they have a mentor or a coach that help them. Like, for example, there's no Michael Jordan without Bill Jackson, right? So it's really something to consider if you're new to real estate, that someone will provide you the ropes in doing those investment deal, because it's really their experience that values. So you can learn from what they have already done in the business. So for me, it's really very important.
Absolutely. And lastly, for you, Chris, do you think it makes a difference to have a coach? Chris, I think you're muted again. It's the nature of the technology. Okay. I think can you say something to see if we can hear you now? No, we still can't hear you.
There, is that better?
Yes, that is better.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was just saying, yeah, it's 100%. Like a mentor, it gives you the ability to take the guesswork out of it, to know that you have somebody with you that has the knowledge and the wisdom, the leadership to point you in the right direction, and give you all the skills that you need to learn in order to you know, close on the right deals, find the right strategies, all those things, right? So without a doubt, a mentor was the best decision I ever made, and I would definitely recommend it for anybody that's wanting to be successful in real estate investing.
Thank you very much. I totally agree as well. So we're gonna take this time to answer some questions. If there's any questions, put them in the chat. I know we have 5 minutes to go, so if there's questions we don't get to, we can always answer them via email. We'll just send an email response. But one of the questions we have here is, Nemo and Chris, before you started in real estate investing, what were you doing as a career path?
Yeah, I was doing and still am HVAC sales. So I've been in sales for about 10 years now, and it's the perfect kind of day job for me, because it keeps me with people out in the real world. I've bought June 5th, I'm closing on a property to somebody where I sold them HVAC equipment. So it really keeps me kind of boots on the ground, and it's still something that you can, if you find a good place with good commission structure and you're willing to work and you like it, you can make endless amounts of money. So that's what really attracted me to that. The only downside is because I incorporated very early, I didn't really think too much about credit as far as like buying power and having like a strong T4. So I was like, oh, I can pay less tax. Okay, that's awesome. But it's not always the best thing. Obviously, I know that now, but definitely I recommend commission jobs because it's like the in between. You're almost free, but you're not quite yet. And it feels a little bit safer, but still a little bit dangerous to get your feet wet, to actually jump off and go full out and be a real estate investor, whatever else you want to do for yourself.
Absolutely. Chris, what did you do before you got into real estate investing? Chris, are you there? Okay, we'll come back to Chris. My next question is a question that we got here as well. It says, who manages these properties that you're investing money into? I have a few properties that we buy properties in different cities. So we do have a property management company. My husband and I actually co-own it with another real estate investor. So we do manage properties that way. We do manage other investors' properties who are looking to buy and sell. But I think the easiest answer to this question is you basically find a reputable property management company that can manage your property in the market that you're in. Make sure that that person you're working with or that company that you decide to work with is actually a good company, because if you have a half decent company, it's not going to go really well. So for sure, working with a good property manager. Do you guys have anything to add to that? It's like a quick, okay, alrighty. So we'll go into the next question. Using other people's money. So the next question is, everywhere I look or read a book, everyone talks about using other people's money. If you don't have the down payment, can someone elaborate on how that works? Other people's money. Thia, would you like to take this question? Because I think you talked about using other people's money at one point.
Yeah, so essentially how that works is you want to, connect with as many people as you can. The best part is, or the key component is having the deal. If it's a deal and you're within a network of investors, we all are looking for a deal. So you're already in the right place, you have a deal, and it's just about, speaking to them and seeing what structure will work for the both of you in terms of creating a win-win, whether they're willing to, leverage some money from their RSPs or whether they have some savings. And you can structure that deal as, rent or borrowing, $80,000 at 15% for this amount of time. Or maybe you're going to do a flip and they're going to lend their money, and instead of paying 15%, they're going to get a percentage of whatever is made on the flip. So there's different structures, but essentially that's what OPM looks like. You're using someone else's money to make a real estate investment.
Yeah. And in this case, I totally agree with you. And I think you said something earlier where you said value. It's about value and what you bring to the table. And I find that sometimes this word is overused in the industry, where people think that you can just use other people's money without even bringing much value to the table. I think, as you said, it's about you bringing a deal that is valuable. I really want a piece of the profit that you're making, so I'll bring my money to the table so we can do the deal together. So a lot of the time, it's about experience and what else you're bringing to the table. Yeah. The next question is, do you guys mainly find properties outside the GTA?
Yes.
Yeah.
All of my deals have been outside of the GTA. Hoping to get one in the GTA though. That's far.
All of mine have been outside the GTA actually as well. And I think I can even speak to the statistics because I constantly watch statistics and what's happening in the market. You will find that on average, you get a higher return on your investment outside the GTA because it's easier to structure the deals. The purchase price is lower. The rental income, sometimes it's still, not not far off as the GTA. So I find even with, if you look at appreciation over time, last year, on average, areas like Kitchener-Waterloo, Guelph went up at least 30% appreciation. GTA itself was about 15%. So if you're outside the GTA, you got twice as much appreciation as somebody who's in the GTA. Another challenge of investing, there's nothing wrong if you have a good capital and have, let's say, $1 million to invest in the GTA, you could do so. But for the most part, I find that you get a higher return when you invest outside the GTA. And that is true for me. It's been true for majority of my clients. And I think that GTA I think that GTA would be perfect for a flip. If you find a property way under market value and you're going to renovate and flip it, for sure. I think that GTA will also be very good for like multifamily. But in terms of like bar and things like that, every deal is different, to be honest. But I think on average, in my experience, you get a higher return outside the GTA. We are at 7:02. I know we have a few questions that we haven't gotten to, so I will send an email correspondence with everyone who's asked a question that we haven't answered. I will also send a video of the recording so people can go back and watch the recording, have an opportunity to just, you know, take notes if they need to, I don't know, but also kind of like re-listen to some of the things that they might have missed. I will also be in touch with everyone to see if there's anything that, you know, if you needed to connect with the coach or anything that our team can help with. And thank you very much, Nemo, Thia, Emily, and Chris for being here. One of the reasons why I put this webinar together was to help people see that you can actually do so much with 2 years of real estate investing. You can actually make so much money with 2 years of real estate investing. And I know that as much as unique as your stories are, I think that it's also, I think that anybody who has the right mindset, as we've said quite a few times, can also achieve it. And thank you very much for being there to just share your stories. I really appreciate that.
Thank you,
so much.
Joseline.
Yeah,
No
thanks,
worries at all.
Joseline. Thanks, everyone.
No worries. Thank you, everyone who was on this webinar. I hope that you've learned something really good that will help you achieve your real estate investing goals. And as I said, time and time again, if there's any questions, feel free to reach out. My contact information is here. My social media handle is at Joseline Nicholas Realtor. So if there's any questions you'd like to get in touch with us, you'd like to get in touch with Thia, Emily, Nemo, or Chris, let me know, and I'll be happy to connect with you with them. And hopefully tonight would be a night that we learn something that will help us make more money in real estate. Have a good night, everyone, and we'll connect again soon.
Good night.